Good morning. I'd like to welcome you today to the Bay County Sheriff's Office. We are honored today to have our Chief Financial Officer, Blaise Ingoglia, here to talk about immigration as something that is a priority for our nation, a priority for our state, and a priority here locally to address this issue of criminal illegal aliens. And I think we've done it better than anybody else in Florida. We've got leaders that are committed to it, leaders that support us. We're here today to receive some financial assistance and making sure that we're doing what's necessary to address this issue. I'd like to also welcome my fellow sheriffs and police chiefs here to talk about this issue. And with that, I will turn it over to our CFO, who is an ardent supporter of law enforcement, and we just want to thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you. Thank you guys for all coming here today. As the Sheriff said, we are leading and continuing to lead on immigration enforcement, and that's why we are here today. First, there are some dignitaries in the room we would like to point out. Rep. Griffiths is here. Thank you, sir, for what you're doing in Tallahassee. Mayor Stewart Teddimer, is that right? Did I pronounce it right? Awesome. Awesome. Hey, last name like Ingoglia, you know how I feel. We have Commissioner Robert Carroll is Commissioner. There he is. Thank you, sir, for coming. Commissioner Raffield, thank you, sir, for coming. And Mayor Alan Branch, thank you, guys, for coming. First, I want to thank Sheriff Ford for having us here and hosting us here, and thank you for what you're doing and for your staff for keeping everyone safe here in this county. I'm also happy to be joined by Sheriff Kevin Cruz, Washington County, Sheriff Michael Atkinson, Walton County, Sheriff John Tate, Holmes County, Sheriff Michael Bryant, Calhoun County, Chief Mark Mallory, City of Blountstown, and Chief Baggett from the Mariana Police Department. Guys, thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for keeping our community safe. I go around and I do a lot of these press conferences on illegal immigration. When I was in the Florida House and in the Florida Senate, a lot of the bigger pieces of legislation dealing with the illegal immigration are ones that I had authored, ones that I helped push across the finish line and make law. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this is that the system is absolutely broken. And under the last administration, we have had a de facto open borders policy where basically it was open up the floodgates. Anyone who wanted to come in could come in, not a lot of vetting, and that continued to effectuate more and more illegal immigration. Now, illegal immigration, the problem has not, this is nothing new. This is something that has plagued this nation for the better part of 40 years. And before President Trump made it a central platform in his campaign, getting elected the first time in 2016 and again this time, we must recognize that this is just not one party's fault. Although, over the last administration, this was primarily the fault of the Biden administration and some open border radicals that allowed this to happen. Over the years, 40 years, both Republicans and Democrats wanted absolutely no part in fixing this broken system. Now, over the years of neglect and dereliction turned into what we had in the previous administration was welcoming and subsidizing illegal immigration. Governments at all levels, local, state, and the federal level, created magnets, programs within those governments which incentivized more and more illegal immigration. It all came to a head under the Biden administration and those de facto open border policies coupled with ridiculous, my words, ridiculous taxpayer-funded government programs that not only incentivized illegal immigrants to evade border patrol, but also made them feel comfortable in doing so. In many states, illegal immigrants can receive free health care, free education, free legal advice, food stamps, driver's license, auto insurance, and law degrees. Now you have to ask yourself, why would an illegal immigrant or an immigrant wanting to come over to this country want to wait 10 years go through their system, the current system, spend $50,000 to get here legally when they can give $10,000 to the drug cartel and get them smuggled over and human trafficked over the southern border and come here illegally when they are going to get all the benefits of a legal citizen? That is the question that we have been asking, and it is the issue that we need to keep on tackling. In fact, the drug cartels, our best estimation is that the drug cartels are making more money off of human smuggling these days than they are off of drug smuggling. It has become a lucrative source of income for the narco-terrorists in our southern, below us in Mexico and other countries. And while Biden and his cronies allowed illegal immigration to wreak havoc on the nation, Florida understood that any incentive for illegal immigration had to be removed, and we had to be bold in leading the nation against open border policies. And that's why we have passed some of the strongest state-led anti-illegal immigration laws that have ever put on the books by any state. We have enhanced criminal penalties for human smuggling and added human smuggling to the list of crimes allowed for prosecution under Florida's RICO Act. We made it a state crime to enter Florida illegally. We stopped the issuance of driver's license and other IDs for illegal immigrants. We implemented mandatory DNA testing for illegals who commit crimes. Believe it or not, there was actually a loophole. We closed that loophole. We mandated hospitals start tracking how much money was spent on delivering health care to illegal immigrants. We stopped in-state tuition for higher education for illegal immigrants. We mandated businesses use E-Verify. We are here today partially because we are assisting law enforcement with 287G program, and we banned sanctuary cities. You know, speaking of sanctuary cities, many politicians just think it's okay in other areas of the United States to create sanctuary cities by voting for sanctuary jurisdiction policies. All that is doing is basically protecting illegal immigrants, especially those who are committing heinous crimes from being deported. Now, if you are an illegal immigrant and you are effectuating really heinous crimes, and you know that there is a sanctuary city that will shield you from deportation, where do you think you're going to head? It is going to be those jurisdictions, and that's why those jurisdictions have some of the highest crime rates in the United States, because they do not believe in the rule of law and they vote for these ridiculous policies. You know, and I'm really getting sick and tired of listening to some of these stories on national news of angel moms that have lost a child because of these ridiculous pro-illegal immigration sanctuary policies and ruling, quite frankly, by activist judges allowing to put these illegal immigrant criminals back on the streets. These are crimes that should have never happened because the people should have never been here in the first place. Radical activist judges are doing the same thing. You will get a criminal alien who's convicted of or charged with the crime. They will find an activist judge, they will get released, and then they're just back on the street only to commit more crime. How many angel moms do we have to hear from? How many more people, how many more stories do we have to read of an illegal immigrant committing crimes against our neighbors, our families, our communities, when the illegal immigrant should not have been here in the first place? And what we are doing is we are creating this incentive program across the United States with all these local governments that, again, make them feel comfortable in coming and settling here. And this is the things that we need to stop. When we were in the legislature this year, we were in a legislative session, we have put up another legislative proposal to try to create more disincentives from people settling here in the state of Florida. Again, being proactive. The state of Florida is not going to wait for something to happen. We are going to continue looking at this issue year after year and hopefully craft legislative programs and proposals to get rid of these incentives off of our books. You know, we had found out that commercial driver's license, the tests, while given in English, the prep course tests that you have to pass in order to take the actual test to get your CDL was given in both languages. How does that make any sense? If you cannot read the language, how are you going to be able to read the signs on the road? It's just common sense to me. And I will tell you that there are things littered within Florida statute and city and county ordinances that do just that. They make it easier for them not to assimilate into communities. And then when you do that, what you're doing is you're creating the environment where people get hurt. And then we're calling these guys out to try to make the situation better. You know, in Florida statute, believe it or not, the workers' comp statute says there in the plain text that illegal immigrants are eligible for workers' comp benefits. What? Are you kidding me? Now, this legislation did not make it across the finish line this year, but it does not mean that I will stop. I will continue filing this legislation with our partners in the legislature until people get it through their heads that this type of behavior needs to stop. In fact, I think we need to go a step further. These companies who hire illegal immigrants, if they are out and they work for a company and they get hurt on the job, I feel bad for the illegal immigrant, but you know who I feel less bad for is the company that employed them. I do not think that employee should go through the workers' comp system and have everyone else pay for it, the people who are doing it right. You know who should pay for it, all of it, 100%? Is the employer. Because the employer is making money off of them, and if they get hurt, they should get paid for it 100%. In fact, I think before we pay out any workers' comp benefits whatsoever, we should be running them through the E-Verify system to make sure that they were in the country legally in the first place before we pay out any benefits. Another thing that I think we should do is we should, at the state of Florida, do everything that we can to try to take away the incentives to send money back through the federal wire system or the state wire system, because the illegal immigrants will come over, they will make money, they will owe the drug cartels tens of thousands of dollars, and then they are wiring it back to the drug cartels as a form of payment. We need to stop the flow of money back to the Mexican drug cartels. And the way you do that is stop them from opening bank accounts, illegal immigrant bank accounts, and stop them from ordering and cashing cashier's check. We also need to stop them from wiring money back to their home country and the drug cartels who sent them over in the first place. Now, that is federal legislation. Federal legislation needs to be passed, but I think we need to take a stand, and Florida needs to continue to push for this. We need to ban illegal immigrants from getting any down payment assistance. The state of California goes out and promotes that illegal immigrants can actually get housing assistance, not for citizens, but for illegal immigrants. How does that make any sense to anyone? We need to also, one of the things that I was pushing that I wanted people to think about, it did not pass also, but we here in the state of Florida do not issue illegal immigrants driver's licenses. But there are states out there like California, and Governor Gavin Newsom goes out and not only gives illegal immigrants driver's licenses, but they send out press releases and they pat themselves on the back when they give out an excessive amount. About 6 months ago, Gavin Newsom sent out a press release or did a press conference saying that they were very happy that they issued their 1 millionth driver's license to an illegal immigrant. That does not make any sense. What doesn't make even more sense is that there are insurance companies out there that are not only giving illegal immigrants auto insurance to be on our roads, but they are marketing to the illegal immigrant community. I have a problem with that. Here's my problem. If an illegal immigrant drives on Florida roads and gets into an accident, even though that we are a no-fault state, I think the illegal immigrant should be automatically at fault because that illegal immigrant should not have been on the road in the first place. And the insurance company that is choosing to market and give that illegal immigrant an auto insurance policy should automatically pay. You want to talk about a deterrent from making that happen? That's a deterrent. It did not pass. I will continue pushing for that piece of legislation. Last year, the governor also signed $250 million in the budget for reimbursements from the state of Florida awarded through the State Board of Immigration Enforcement, which I am proud to be a part of, to local law enforcement agencies for all 287G related activities. And through these reimbursements, the state of Florida is ensuring that every law enforcement agency has the resources it needs to enforce our nation's laws and to protect our citizens. The greatest deterrent that we can have in the state of Florida to make sure that we keep our friends, our families, and our community safe, and make sure that we do not have illegal immigrants settling in our communities committing crimes are these guys right here. People and illegal immigrants are starting to think twice about settling here in the state of Florida because they know the longer they are here, the better of a chance these guys are going to catch them and send them back. Illegal immigration needs to come to an end. It is a scourge on our community. It is a scourge on this nation, and I get very aggravated when I hear people say, but don't you feel bad for the illegal immigrants coming here? Shouldn't they be treated better? Shouldn't they have constitutional rights? Yeah, these guys treat everyone with absolute respect, but if you're here illegally, expect your ass to get sent home. And in addition, I would love for some of these, liberal talking heads to start talking about what happens to illegal immigrants as they're on the trek here from their home country, traveling here to the United States, and you hear stories of little kids getting raped and parents getting mugged. We never hear anything about the de facto open border policies of the Biden administration that basically incentivized people to take this long trek to the United States because they wanted to find freedom and opportunity here in the state of Florida. I do not hold that against anyone for wanting to come to the United States. We are the greatest nation in the history of the world. People want to come here, but if you're going to come here, come legally. But if you create incentives where people are actually spending that trek and trekking over to a southern border, being smuggled by the drug cartels, what's happening to them is ungodly. But we never hear about what the drug cartels are doing to illegal immigrants. All we hear about from liberal talking head is how they're treated here. Well, if we never created the magnet of an open border, they would have never made the trek. If we would have had an illegal immigration system that actually worked and was fixed, they would have never made the trek in the first place. But the biggest deterrent, I will reiterate, is strong law enforcement, and our partners with the 287G program is now making the state of Florida the beacon of illegal immigration enforcement. We are the shining city on the hill when it comes to illegal immigration enforcement. No one in the United States comes close. And that is because the hard work of our partners standing here with us today, and all the police chiefs and the sheriff's deputies and the sheriffs and all of the other agencies that are all 287G certified. So on behalf of the state of Florida, I think I can speak on behalf of the cabinet and the governor. Thank you for what you are doing. And today, we are not only going to show it with just a thank you, we are here to award checks for all the hard work, reimbursement checks for all the hard work that they have been doing, making sure they are putting U.S. citizens first and putting the criminal illegal aliens back where they belong in their home countries. So today we are announcing a bunch of checks. We're going to start off with Bay County Sheriff's Office for a total award of $685,956. Sheriff? You. Next up, Washington County Sheriff's Office, $77,530. And we have another check that we are going to vote on tomorrow at the cabinet meeting. So I think you're pretty good with getting the money, so we're just going to announce it here. Another check for $552,292. So the $77,000 one you can cash, but if you go try to cash the $552,000 one today, I'm sorry to say you will be arrested for trying to pass a fraudulent check. So please don't do that. Come on up here for these two. Holmes County Sheriff's Office, $24,892.60. I do not understand why we still don't round up. It would be so much easier to do $893. City of Bluntstown, is it Bluntstown? Did I pronounce that ready? Okay. Pronounce it ready. Did I pronounce it okay? Right. $26,055.50. Chief? All right. Thank you. Calhoun County's Sheriff's Office, $15,701. Sheriff. Sheriff. Mariana Police Department, $30,361.50. Chief?
Thank you, sir.
And last but certainly not least, Walton County Sheriff's Office, $648,805. Sheriff. Oh, actually, so why don't we, let's all get together for a big group photo? Chief? Where's? Oh, Chief, okay, you got it. I'll hold one for you. You can hold the big one. Oh. All right, thank you. Before we call up the speakers, I just want to just make a couple of last points. We'll call up the speakers, and then we can answer any questions that the press has. This is checks. This is money, right? So we are giving money through the State Board of Immigration Enforcement because these guys are doing things over and above what they normally do, and we are reimbursing them for the money that they are putting forth, keeping our community safe. And the reason why I bring this up is that because there are a lot of, let's just say, pro-illegal immigration advocates out there that are now complaining about the costs that that the state of Florida is incurring and local governments are incurring and the federal government is incurring, trying to remove illegal immigrants, especially those who have committed crimes from our communities. Did we not think that removing criminal aliens was going to cost money? You know, not only did the open borders policies of the Biden administration cost hundreds of billions of dollars in taxpayer dollars, keeping them here and giving them all of these, the free stuff. But now we're incurring a lot of cost removing them also. The best way to do this and fix this problem going forward is get rid of the people who are not here in this country, get rid of the people who are not here in the country legally, fix the system so people who want to come over to our country have the new federal laws, that they have a process that people adhere to. But anyone who thought that this wasn't going to cost any money surely wasn't paying attention. And now taxpayers are incurring more costs in order to do this. Let's fix this nonsense once and for all. We know our best estimates are around 2.2 million illegal immigrants have self-deported. If you take us as a percentage of the people in the United States, maybe 150 to 200,000 illegal immigrants have self-deported here in the state of Florida. We don't know the actual number, but it's about time this ridiculousness stops. And I want to thank again our community partners, the 287G partners, for doing what they do. So at this time, I want to call up Sheriff Tommy Ford for additional comments. Sheriff, you want me to hold this for you?
No, I'm
All right, good.
I was actually going to call my comptroller up if you'll run to the bank with this real quick. Blaise, we'd like to thank you for your support in this issue. You know, we live in a state that recognizes the impact of illegal immigration, and when we look at that, we look at the societal cost of that. I look back at the fentanyl epidemic when we had an open border and fentanyl was flowing across the border, and we saw at one point 70,000 Americans killed in 1 year due to fentanyl overdoses. And it's important to close that border and enforce illegal immigration like we've been doing here in Florida. Florida is leading the way. And I would like to thank the men and women in law enforcement. We've got many deputies that are our 287G deputies behind the cameras there. Y'all are the ones that are making this happen, and I want to thank you for that. At Bay County Sheriff's Office, we have 18 287G deputies that are out there every day enforcing immigration law. You know, that does come at a cost. So this reimbursement is very helpful in that it's going to provide overtime reimbursement. There's some equipment reimbursement. And importantly, when we arrest costs to our jail as far as the meal costs, medical costs, detention costs. So this is going to help reimburse that. So it's very helpful that the taxpayers in Bay County don't have to directly pay for that, or we absorb that into our budget, and we very much appreciate the state for stepping in and providing these reimbursements. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. Next up, Sheriff Cruz, Washington County. Sheriff.
I tell Blaise he's got the coolest name in the house. I want to talk to you just a little bit about, you know, state mandates, so on and so forth. You know, I am Washington County. We're one county inland. We're not a coastal county. We don't have a lot of industry like the coastal counties and some of the bigger counties do in our great state. First, let me say this. You know, when I travel outside of our state into other states, you know, for example, I was in Fort Worth, Texas, and I got to talking to some of the Fort Worth PD guys. I was out there for a rodeo about a year ago, and when they find out that, you know, I'm in law enforcement from the state of Florida, and it don't really matter where we go or where I'm at, they're like, man, y'all got a governor, he's on it, you know, and they're envious of us. They want to be us, and even some of the blue states, you know, they would talk to you if they could, but they envy the state of Florida for doing what we've done. But what I want to talk to you, April will be 34 years that I've been doing this job. My background in this line of work is illegal narcotics. That's what I did all over the entire panhandle of the state of Florida, is undercover work. As far away as Jefferson County to the east and Escambia County to the west. And I could tell you, you know, I was there and I was doing it when we had the crack epidemic. And we you know, and I'll kind of make a joke about it. We thought we had a problem until we had the meth epidemic. And it's all bad. But the methamphetamine was something like we had never seen before. And Sheriff Ford touched on it. Blaise touched on it a little bit about the cartels. Let me tell you something. It ain't what I heard, it's what I know. They're here, okay? They are in every community in our country. The cartels, they're structured, they're organized, and they have ranking officers, just like we do at the sheriff's office, lieutenants, captains, so on and so forth. But what we seen when that border got open, you know, when you see what's not fake news is what Sheriff talked about a while ago with the overdoses in this country. That's real. You've seen it in Bay County, you've seen it in Washington County, you've seen it in every county in this country. The overdoses went through the roof. and it's because the market got flooded. You know, even in my county, we're a small, rural, physical constrained county, Washington County, and we don't have, you know, a lot of industry, a lot of construction going on in that county. So we don't have a lot of Mexicans or Guatemalans or so on and so forth in that county. Do we have them? We've got them just like anybody else. But let me tell you what we got. We got the drug problem just like Orange County, Florida, Duval County, or any other county in this country. And when I talk to people in my county, you know, how does it really affect us? Let me tell you how it affects us. That not that you're seeing them on every street corner, because you're not in Washington County, but let me tell you how it affected Washington County. Is it flooded the drug market. You know, like any other commodity, I don't care what you're selling. If you flood any market, then what happens to the price? The price goes cheap. And that's exactly what's happened with the drug trade in our county. And I can tell you for a fact, just a few years ago, we know that a kilo of methamphetamine was $25,000, $26,000, $28,000 just a few years ago. And it ain't what I heard on the street. It's not what I read. It's working in the business, the undercover business that we work in and day out. I can tell you the same 2 pounds, the same 2.2 pounds of methamphetamine now is $3,500, maybe cheaper than that because this information is a few months old, but it's $3,500 out of Atlanta. The same 2 pounds of dope is $3,500. So you can do the math on how much cheaper it is. You don't see us working meth labs no more. A few years ago, you seen every one of us, every county, we were working the meth labs. We were going in, disassembling the meth labs and taking all that garbage, you know, to where we had to have hazmat crews to come in and haul it, contracted with them to come in and haul that garbage off of those sites. You don't see that from us no more. You don't see us working meth labs. And people say, y'all don't work meth labs no more. No, we don't, because it's too cheap to buy it coming across the border. There's a lot less risk in buying it straight from them versus cooking the meth like we used to do, each and every one of us a few years ago. So it's an honor for me to be here today and stand with Blaise. And I'll end on this right here. He talked a little bit about the finances behind this. Not that our arms had to be twisted. We had direction from our state leaders, from our governor, on what direction that we were about to take with this problem now that our country's got, that we didn't create, but somebody's got to deal with it. Not that our arm had to be twisted. I think every sheriff in the entire state of Florida is on board as far as I know. And, you know, it's a funded mandate. And that's what he talked about. And I'm proud to stand here with him. They are financing a small rural county like Washington County. They are financing our efforts to make our county and the state of Florida a much better state to live in, to work in, to play in. So he's not just talked about it. I can tell you, he's in Bay County, Florida today with checks in hand. He's backed his word up. And as Sheriff of Washington County, I proudly stand with you.
I appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next up, Representative Griff Griffiths.
Thank you, Blaise. Really welcome to Bay County District 6. It's an honor to have you here. And it's proud to stand with all my panhandle sheriffs and chiefs up here. A lot of these guys, besides my sheriff and Sheriff Atkinson, are from the rural counties, and you guys know the struggles. And so you can bring money down anytime. We appreciate when you do that. So, but Blaise is right. The legislative process is incredibly hard. Sometimes getting stuff across the finish line is incredibly difficult, and we try every day. Florida tries to lead the nation with these immigration policies. I serve with some amazing members. Representative Michael from Jacksonville lost her son to a twice deported illegal alien. So if you don't think she goes to Tallahassee every day to fight for these laws to make Florida a safer place. Representative Persons Mullick out of Fort Myers area is running a bill right now which talks about voter ID for voting. You got to have an ID to vote. The simplicity, what we consider rational thought just doesn't exist in the halls of Tallahassee sometimes. It's amazing to me that people actually can talk bad about having an ID to go vote. We have to have an ID to board a plane, open a checking account, get a wave runner out on our beaches.
Shovel snow in New York City.
Shovel snow in New York City. You got to have two forms of ID. But for people in Tallahassee to think that that's just just irrational thought blows my mind. But it truly is. We fight that every single day. But I can tell you Florida is trying to lead the nation. We are doing everything we can as a legislative body to pass laws that make you safer, have money available for our people, these sheriffs, these guys in the blue, to defend us, protect us, to make sure they get reimbursed for the sacrifices they made. I'm incredibly proud to stand here with these group of men, and hopefully he won't have to be bringing big checks back for this, but we'll take checks for other things. So,
We got it.
So appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you. You know, the representative is right, is Florida doesn't wait. If we see, look, and it's no secret what we do. You know, we see some craziness coming in California, what they're doing in California, and we pass laws to do the exact same opposite here. And obviously, people are voting with their feet. They're leaving places like California and settling in places like Nevada and Utah. And you have the ridiculousness that you're seeing in Michigan and New York and New Jersey. And people are starting to move here because they see more freedom and opportunity here in the state of Florida. So it is not rocket science. In fact, some of the laws that are passed in other states we think are bad ideas. We make sure we do the exact opposite here. But we don't necessarily wait for bad laws to be passed in other states. Look at some of the ridiculousness that we've seen in some of these cities, Seattle. Look at what's happening in Minneapolis. We see the craziness happening, and then we make sure that the craziness doesn't happen here, and we're proactive. We're constantly trying to push the envelope and show people here that not only is that never going to happen here, it won't ever happen here in the state of Florida. So that is, we're always trying to stay ahead of the curve. But with that, staying ahead of the curve, I mean, just look at, you know, some of the three biggest issues that we have here in the state of Florida. We can name them: illegal immigration, property taxes, and insurance, right? Housing affordability and safety. And the state of Florida, with the leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis, the cabinet, the House, and the Senate, we are being aggressive with tackling those issues. Again, we're standing here today reimbursing our great law enforcement partners for being a partner with us under the 287G program. We have passed laws, some of the strictest anti-illegal immigration laws this country has seen here in this state of Florida, becoming the gold standard for the rest of the United States. Property taxes. We weren't waiting for everyone to start complaining about property taxes. We saw some of the problems that we were having across this state. So what do? We started to be aggressive, and we start talking about reforming the property tax system, because property taxes are starting to get out of hand here in the state of Florida. And while I'm here, while my law enforcement partners are here, I'm going to say this. I say it all the time. I will continue to say it. The first role of government is to protect its citizens. And you do that by making sure that our fire and our police have the resources that they need in order to keep our community safe. So if any local government is out there saying that with property tax reform, we're going to have to cut their law enforcement or cut fire, you direct them to me, because I will tell them no, they don't. And I will be more than happy to sift through their books line by line and make sure that they are cutting out the waste of fraud and abuse and not cutting out the money for our first responders. We will not have it. The governor will not stand for it. I will not stand for it. But we're not waiting. Property tax reform will be on the ballot in November 26th. It's a housing affordability issue. Another thing with housing affordability is insurance reform. We took on insurance reform a couple of years ago, and we delivered historic tort reform. And now we are starting to see the fruits of the labor, and we're starting to see rates come down on both auto insurance and homeowners insurance, double digits. The situation is getting better. 3 years ago, companies were going bankrupt after storms. We're not seeing that anymore. The market is strengthening, and we are getting better. So I say this all, that the state of Florida does not wait. We will not wait. We will be aggressive. We're going to take advantage of the opportunities to make this state the best state in the nation. With that, I will answer any questions that you guys have from media. Do you guys have any questions? Yes, sir.
What portion of state law enforcement are receiving these types of refunds?
Of state law enforcement? It is my understanding that every single state law enforcement agency has 287G certified. We are full cooperation. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Well, we're doing it any law enforcement agency, whether it is a county or a city, we are going around and holding these events to talk about the importance of our 287G partnership with our local law enforcement, but also show that they have the commitment from us in order to give the resources that they need, because we're asking them to do more than they did before. And the problem is that the federal government has a major problem on. Our best guess is in between 18 to 21 million illegal immigrants are in this country. You are never, ever going to remove illegal immigrants, especially those who are committing crimes, the criminal aspect, with just federal law enforcement and ICE and DHS. They need a network which includes local law enforcement to get this done. So we do this to show that we are absolutely 100 committed to solving this problem and to keeping our community safe. And I think it's important that we stand here side by side with them as we're giving out the checks to show just how important it is, not only to us, but to them also. Never taking my foot off of the gas ever as long as I'm in office. As long as I am in office, I'm never taking my foot off the gas on illegal immigration, keeping taxes low, and holding insurance companies accountable and make sure that they do what they do. I'm never taking my foot off of the gas when it comes to these issues. Is that it? Yes, sir.
How would the reimbursement checks calculated?
Their forms, the process, the Sheriff, do you want to answer the question?
So these are based on a reimbursement basis, and we fill out a grant application several months ago where we estimated what we would spend for the year. We estimated per 287G deputy how much overtime they may get by a certain number of hours per month. We estimated the number of detainees that we would have on that 2-day per diem that we hold for ICE. And I'll say in Bay County, I'm very proud of Bay County law enforcement that in the past year we've been able to arrest about 1,100 criminal illegal aliens that have run through the jail. So part of that will be to reimburse for that. But this will be, we put in for this amount, and we'll be drawing down off of that as we spend the money. So that's kind of, it was a grant application that works on a reimbursement basis. It's not necessarily a check for this amount to deposit in our account, much to my chagrin. But it's reimbursement based on actual cost.
You know, another thing I want to bring up is, I know we talk about the difference between the Trump years in office and we talk about the difference in the Biden years in office. But what I will say is our law enforcement partners, the guys up here, never stopped detaining illegal immigrants who committed crimes. It just never happened. The difference is that under this administration, prior to Biden and post-Biden, the Trump administration, people are actually answering the phone when they call the federal government. And in years past, and you see all the shit, they're all shaking their heads. They would have some of the worst criminal elements, and they would have them in their car, in their custody, in their jails, and they would call up to the federal government and say, hey, we have this really, really bad guy that is suspected of doing X. We also know through the system that this person might be the person who actually did Y. What should we do with them? They would literally call up there, and they would hear a dial tone. No one would answer the other side of the calls. Am I wrong, guys? That's exactly what happened. And that's why these people wound up, these illegal immigrants would wind up back on the streets committing the crimes, and that's why we say that these crimes should have never happened in the first place. Rep. Griffiths brought up one of the representatives, Cayenne Michael, who's from the Jacksonville area, had a twice deported illegal immigrant kill her child. How do you think she feels about that? I would love to have one of these liberal open border activists have a debate with her and tell her that she's wrong and all of us are wrong up here. This is the human cost of this crap, and it has to stop. I do not want to hear any more horror stories from angel moms who their kids have passed away because a twice deported, 3-time deported illegal immigrant was back on the streets because of an open border policies. The difference between then and now is we actually have a president who actually cares about this situation, is not afraid to put the resources behind what we all believe is doing right, and the leadership of the state under Governor Ron DeSantis, our House, our Senate, making sure that we have full participation and cooperation. We're going to lead. We're going to continue to lead on this issue. Guys, I appreciate everything that you do. Law enforcement, you guys out there, thank you for doing what you do. May God bless you, and may God bless the great state of Florida. Thank you all. Dude, you were awesome. I appreciate it.